Hey, what's up? Zach here. And over the last couple weeks, I have gotten so many requests to review the new Way of Wade 808 2. And so when Way of Wade wanted to send me one over, I was super keen on trying them because they are one of those other drop-in midsole type shoes. However, when I was looking at them online and then when they came in the mail, I did notice they almost resemble a soccer cleat with how low to the ground and how minimalist the uppers are and just the caging around the midsole. Plus, these are a drop-in midsole. So I wanted to see how is the cushioning, how is the support, and more importantly, how is the lateral stability for something this low profile. Let's get into it. Now, starting in the uppers, if I were you, I probably would get a different pair of shoelaces on these. Number one, they are super long. Number two, they are a little flimsy. And for uppers this minimal, you do want something a little bit more stout up there. The lace eyelet system is fine. It is double reinforced. And you have a little more reinforcing on the inside of the shoe, this gold plating right here. However, that does actually serve a little bit of a purpose. It makes it just a little bit more stout here. You also have some reinforcing here on the inside. However, the uppers in general are just mostly mesh. So they are super breezy, but when you put them on, the lockdown on them, you can move around a ton in the uppers. However, what I did notice is because of the TPU plating on the outside of the shoe, they are super laterally stable. Like when I usually do this test, if you see me do it on the videos, a lot of times I'll just really easily roll over. However, even if I'm on the side of the foot here, they're still really containing, but that's just because the uppers are so malleable. So if you look at them, you can kind of move them around in your hand and you'll sink into the shoe. So even though there is a drop-in midsole in there, your foot is still sinking into the drop-in midsole a little bit, plus it's digging into the uppers of the shoe. So the uppers are starting to kind of envelop it. So when you're going laterally, pushing side to side, your foot is physically pushing down into the shoe, and that's what creates all that stability. So it's not stability from more rigid pieces in that upper, it's stability from just you being able to mold the shoe to your foot, which is actually a little bit of a different type of stability, but stability nonetheless. And if you look at them on the upper durability test, the Dremel 10 seconds high grit sandpaper, these do have a drag guard that goes all the way around the forefoot of the shoe, plus reinforcement here right where your big toe would slide. And you have a little bit of outsole rubber here coming up to meet that drag guard. So really good caging around the big toe joint, especially pretty good for protecting your toes. However, in terms of abrasion, that drag guard, the Dremel did bite right through that all the way down to the mesh layer. However, if you are dragging on this reinforced drag guard, you wouldn't even get through that. So I'd say if you're a pretty traditional dragger on an outdoor court, these will do just fine because the rubber and the double protection will protect you. However, if you're more up on the tiptoes of your foot dragging, or you're sometimes a lateral dragger, you might start wearing these on an outdoor court. However, on an indoor court, because the coefficient of friction of this is so low, it's really slick, you shouldn't have any problems with upper durability on the indoor courts. And looking at the midsole teardown, I guess I could just take the drop-in midsole out. However, I did want to show you the EVA layer on the Strobel, as well as that TPU guard that goes all the way around these. Now, cloud foam, what the drop-in midsole is a more like kind of rubberized EVA. So if you feel it in hand, it does feel very bouncy on it. It does feel really springboard-like. However, if you look at the Way of Wade's website, it is just a proprietary polymer, and from what I got from them, it is an EVA blend with more rubberized particles. So the thing is this will give you a lot of bounce just off static stance. It is a super bouncy material. However, when coming down off of like a crash landing or when trying to go for rebounds, that's when these things do not give you as much bounce as some other shoes will, because they don't have a rigid shank in them. The shoe is meant for malleability, if that's even a word. They're meant to be very malleable, they're meant to be very flexible. And so like I said before, you can just move these things all around, and that's what your foot is doing to them as well when you're playing. So if you're coming off of a layup, a dunk, or trying to get a rebound and you're crashing down, this cloud foam will absorb all the shock. It's really incredible how little shock you feel in your legs just from this midsole. However, do not expect a ton of rebound from it, from all of that shock coming down there. It's more of an absorptive material, which is nice for something that low to the ground. Just like I said, don't expect a huge jump out of these. I mean, if you look at it on jump height test, still got a pretty decent jump height test. However, that is from static stance and using the real bounciness of the shoe. However, once you start wearing this shoe down and once your foot starts sinking into that cloud foam, you will notice that these will start losing a little bit of that bounce versus a shoe that has a rigid shank. So you're kind of trading the rigidity of some other shoes for the more kind of flexibility and creativity that these will give you. But if there's one part of the 808s I think everyone can agree that is pretty darn good, it is the outsole tread. And this is a more flowering or rippling pattern here, and it comes from these like two atoms right here in the forefoot under the ball of the foot, and then here under the lateral heel. And these are the parts of the shoe where you're going to be kind of coming to a screeching halt on, where you're going to be trying to push off really hard. Now, what I like about this tread pattern is it is far enough apart, but chunky enough to give you enough grip on an outdoor court or especially on an indoor court. I noticed with these on an indoor court, because of how malleable the shoe is, plus how gripping the outsole was, I had a better grip with these than just about any other shoe. Even shoes I like the tread a little bit more, these grip better than, because my foot could feel the ground more and sink into that tread better. And if you look at them on the shuttle test, 14.30 seconds, which is hauling pretty good for a shoe this minimal. It's something that doesn't give you a real diving board effect. And I think somebody in better shape than I am would have really gotten a good time on that shuttle test on these and really be able to use the tools of these a little bit better versus someone like me. So I think if you're looking for a speed focused shoe that gives you a ton of grip and stability and a low to the ground feel, I found on turns on these, I mean, zero issues with stability, and I had zero issues making that turn. It was when I was kind of pushing off a little bit that I noticed I didn't have that springboard effect, but still got a good time just because of the profile of the shoe. And if you look at them on the outsole durability test, the Dremel 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, I mean, almost a millimeter of damage on a 2 millimeter tread depth. So pretty good. I mean, if you want to use these on an outdoor court, if you're not a huge dragger or slider, I think they'll do pretty well. On an indoor court, you're gonna have zero problems doing anything. Now, when getting into the fit, these are a little bit odd. They run a little bit long in the toe, plus they're a little bit narrow and tapered. Obviously, if you look at the profile of them, like I said, look like a soccer cleat. So if you are a 2E width foot, I'm not sure you're gonna have a great time trying to break these in because of the TPU winglet on the outside of these. It's really gonna kind of hold you in. So a narrow or medium foot, you may even be able to go down a half size on these if you want that one-to-one performance fit. You can go true to size if you want more forgiveness. But just remember, these are a more minimalist type shoe, especially in the uppers, plus the drop-in midsole lifts you up a little bit higher. So when you first put these on, you're gonna have some issues with a little bit of heel slippage. As you push into that midsole, that's gonna go away a little bit, but just get ready for your foot to move around in there a lot. And because these do have a large stack of high density foam underneath the heel, they are good for plantar heel pain like plantar fasciitis. However, if you are somebody with kind of more medial instability, painful flat foot, kind of an unstable flat foot, really hypermobile foot, because this is just rubberized foam and because there really isn't a stiff shank and because the uppers are so malleable, you may get a little bit of pain there. So if you are someone like that and want to use a drop-in midsole type shoe, I actually do have my favorite builds for customized drop-in midsoles that I like to make for patients of mine that like a drop-in midsole but want more support. So if you want to check out how to make a drop-in midsole with a custom insert you can take to your doctor and have them make for you, I do have a link in the description for my favorites down below. Now, in terms of playability on these, you kind of have to be a little bit more of an advanced player, I think, to be able to use the tools of these shoes because they give you so much flexibility, so much freedom of movement. They are so malleable around your foot. I know I've said that 1,000 times, that word. I'm even starting to lose meaning with it. However, that's what they do. They allow the shoe to mold around your foot. So if you're somebody with super elite footwork, you're gonna find elite footwork in these. If you're someone like me who knows a lot about shoes and a lot about foot function, but isn't getting any calls from the Dallas Mavericks anytime soon, then you're gonna need a little bit of time in these to get used to them. I found that especially outdoors when I was kind of going up for rebounds or trying to get my own rebounds, that I found that I was kind of wanting the shoe to do a little bit more for me afterwards. A ton of shock absorption, yeah, and I like that for my knees and my lower back. However, I just did find that if I was trying to bounce back up, I found better with shoes that had more like carbon fiber shank or a TPU shank. However, I did find that, like I said, you can feel the ground better in these than just about any other shoe out there. The grip and the feel on these is better than just about anything out there right now. It's just you have to be the right player to be able to extract those tools from it. You better not be a huge center and looking for something that's going to protect your foot from other people stomping on it or wanting a shoe that's going to give you easy rebounds, because these just aren't it. These are much more meant for more shifty guard, somebody looking to outwork somebody with footwork or someone trying to make more ankle breaker moves on somebody else. And you need to have the confidence that this shoe is going to grip and you can feel every inch of the ground underneath of you. But I'd also love to know, are you the type of player that likes a shoe with this much flexibility in it, something that doesn't have that rigid shank, something that's more of that minimalist type shoe, that low to the ground type feel, or are you wanting something more with the carbon fiber shank under that huge stack under the foot? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see the older sibling to the 808s, the Way of Wade 10, make sure you click into this video up above and subscribe down below. Respect your rubber and foam. Almost. I'll see you in the next video.